Hey guys, it's good to be back for another exciting episode of YOMO. This is the Year Must Be Learning podcast. Today we are actually on 196, another two-part reflection of a book. I think this book, I haven't read this book, but it seems interesting. So we'll see. Chris, what do we have?
Yeah, the book 196 today is part one of two. It's a monthly challenge, actually. So it was The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, How to Free Yourself and Your Family from a Lifetime of Clutter by Margareta Magnusson. So this book is about something called Swedish death cleaning. So it's like when you know that you're, I don't know, like getting older or something along those lines. And you can do this at any age of life, but basically it's just cleaning out your crap, and spending time with it so your loved ones don't have to someday if you're not here. It's kind of being proactive with your stuff. I think of like my grandmother. She has an attic full of a lifetime of garage sailing with my grandfather. That was his passion, garage sailing. He would go garage sale after garage sale. That's what they did every weekend. And he would come back and he would have 50 of the same item and he would put it into his garage or in his attic. My grandmother humored him and she would always go with him and whatever. But like, he passed away like over 10 years ago now. And her attic is just full of the most random shit you can ever imagine. 30 of the same items of all the same shit. So she's terrified to go up there, right? I was just talking to her the other day and she's like, I'm terrified to go up there. She was like, I don't even know where to start. And she was like, I don't want to leave it for the kids either someday when I'm gone. But like that's the whole point of the Swedish death cleaning, right? Is to go spend time with those memories and go spend time with the stuff and then decide while you're still here, like, what do I want to do with it? Like, do I want to burden my family with this stuff? Do I want to get rid of it? Do I want to donate it? Do I want to keep it? And do I want to give it preemptively to somebody and say like, hey, I want you to have this. Like, this is a gift this is something that I spent time with your grandfather and I, and this is meaningful to me, even though I won't, like, when she's gone, I won't know that, right? But maybe now, if you do this stuff during life, you have an opportunity to kind of go do that. I guess what Swedish death cleaning is. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's more literal than figurative.
yeah, no, it is literal. Yeah, it is like, going through your stuff as if you're not going to be here. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So the reflection that I got from this book was learning to let go of things, literally. As you remember, a couple books back, we did Wherever You Go, There You Are. This was a weird like month or two for me. I was doing this, Wim Hof, Wherever You Go, There You Are. I was talking to my therapist, her name's Loretta. I've gotten a way better handle on just my general emotions and how to process those these days and how to move forward with purpose. So with Amelia, but there's still stuff that pisses me off. Like, even after you get out of the rubble and you start to resume life, there's still just random shit that'll piss you off, right? And for me, one of the things that just drives me up the fucking wall is clutter. Like, I hate it. I just don't have the mental capacity I like to know where everything is and exactly where it is, and to know that it's in its place and I know what it is so I can go use it when I want to use it, right? I don't have time to store in my head of, oh yeah, I had this random cowboy hat that I chucked into my attic behind me or something like that, and someday recall where it is and why I would ever want to use it. Like, if I don't know where it is and what it's for and how to get it quickly, like, it'll never get used. And for me, that's a waste. I feel like everything in life should have a purpose, whether you're an inanimate object or a human or an animal, plant, whatever. Like, I think everything deserves to have a purpose in this world. It doesn't deserve to get just thrown into an attic when nobody ever sees it and you never even know why you had it. Unfortunately for me, that may be my philosophy. I'm not like OCD or anything like that, but I definitely like to have things in order. I'm not like a clean freak or something. I just like things to be in their place. My wife is the exact opposite. She just buys shit, chucks it into some random corner, and then sacks and sacks accumulate on top of it to the point in time where you're like, nobody has any idea what's in there. Piling more shit on top of other stuff. You don't even know what the hell it is. And it's just, the pile just grows and grows and grows and never shrinks, ever. It never shrinks. This is how her philosophy has always been. Part of it's the way that she grew up. Part of it's the way that I grew up. We have to cohabitate. We've been together for 15 years. I've gotten used to it, but I've been able to compartmentalize it where I'll just give her certain areas of our house where I'm like, just make a mess, shut the door. I don't want to ever see it. This is your space. I just won't ever go in here, ever, because it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Well, there was one particular area, actually right back here, behind this door, is a room that's this size on the other side of that room. That's like our attic space, right? That is, just an open space where you can store a bunch of stuff. Well, for years, I've been begging my wife. When we first moved into this home, this was a little over 10 years ago, we took everything out of our storage cellar in our basement at our previous home. From the day that we moved in there, all of her random shit and boxes just got shoved into there. And I never saw it again because I was like, I'm never going in this room ever again. And it stayed there until the day we moved. We lived there for like 5 years. And then we moved into this house and all that stuff went from that room into that room. And I was like, it's okay. Like, it's a really big room. This room's like 4 times the size of the previous room. I was like, we got plenty of room.
Never enough.
Yeah, it's never enough. But
Never enough. I don't care how big a room is.
I agreed. But it literally never moved. The boxes were never opened. The day that was thrown in there 10 years ago, it never moved. Over the years, it's only gotten worse in there. More and more furniture is built up, more and more random crap, add in 2 children, and stuff gets thrown in there. And it got so bad that you couldn't even walk into there. It was like you had to trip over everything. And I was like, oh my God, I can't go into this room anymore. So I read this book, and I was talking to my therapist. I was complaining about, because I was begging my wife. I was like, please, for the love of God, what do I have to do to go get, because most of that stuff in there is hers. And I'm like, I can't just go start chucking her stuff away, throw it away, right? I was like, you have to do this with me. Like, I can't just go throw your stuff away. Like, you're not going to let me, So I was like, I had been begging her for like years. Like, I was like, please, for the love of God, just help me clean this room because I can't take it anymore. And there's more and more stuff that needs to get shoved into there now that we have children. I was like, I need help, So I'm complaining to my therapist about this, and she goes, I feel like there's this book that I heard about. It's called like something about like death cleaning or something like that. And she was like, maybe you should check that out. She's like, I know you like to read. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll check it out. So that's how I ended up finding this book, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, okay. As I was reading it, I got this idea. I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this as one of my monthly challenges. I was like, I'm going to go spend 20 minutes a day, put an alarm clock on, and I'm just going to, time myself. I'm going to give myself some time to spend with just my stuff that's in there, or then I'll go to a closet, just my shit. I wasn't going to touch my wife's stuff. I was like, I'll go to pantries and closets in the attic. And maybe I was like, maybe I can make some headway in there with some of just my stuff and old furniture and things that she doesn't care about. And I was like, yeah, we'll see how this goes. We'll check out this monthly challenge and spend some time with the stuff like the book suggests. Have some fond memories, decide what I want to do with it, and either donate it or give it away or throw it away or keep it. And that was what I did. So that was my monthly challenge for that particular month. Like I said, this was a weird month of letting go. And so this was my month of literally letting go after this. Part 2 is the results of the letting go challenge. So I'll save that because I'm not going to spoil the results here. But yeah, so that was the inspiration of my monthly challenge and how that all came to be. And the question for you is, what's your personal philosophy on stuff management? So like what I learned from this book is everything has a purpose. Like, honestly, I think everything, even your shit, has a purpose, or should. Like, it's not fair to your shit if you don't let it have a purpose. Love your thoughts. I did not.
Did you? Would you?
Well, I don't want to spoil the results because good things did start to happen.
So what can we talk about then?
We can talk about the idea of Swedish death cleaning, and we can talk about the idea of purpose. Everything has a purpose, even your shit. And then what is your personal philosophy on stuff management?
Okay, I think maybe I should start with what I think about the philosophy of stuff management. For me, personally, I think whatever is not aligned with me needs to go. So with that said, I like things that is practical and useful and has some value because that's who I am.
Okay.
And because of that, knowing my values, I can't really say to somebody, hey, it has to be practical. It has to have value for you to keep it because that's not going to be their core values.
Right.
The core value could be, hey, I like things that remind me of some feelings or some emotions from the other person's perspective. That's why I want to ask you if you have approached your wife about, because to me, it seems like majority of the thing that you didn't like, it was hers. Right.
Well, that's not true. And the more that I got to cleaning every single day, the more that I realized, man, I had a ton of shit too. Like, even though like I tried to be
but she has
tidy,
more. She has more.
Right. I needed to clean up my own shit.
Right. Everybody has shit. Okay. Yeah. Whether it's, I mean, I don't want to say shit, right? Because to me, it's my shit.
Right.
But it's not somebody, other people that probably not their shit. So, it could be their things that they want to keep. And so unless they are not here anymore, sometimes, I don't know whether or not I should be telling people to do something they don't want to do, like asking them to eat frogs, right? For them to throw stuff out, it's hard. But emotionally, because like I said, a beaver must dam. If they are born with the,
clutter gene,
then they want that. It makes them feel like they are prepared for the future, make them feel safe. And for me, it just prevents me from making new things, making space for new things. So for
Yeah.
me, I like to clean. I like to be organized. I see my wife, I see my mom, I see my sister. They
Right.
like to spend on things. And for me, these things are not practical, not something that I would
Yeah.
value, but they buy them. And for whatever reason, it's not just like one thing, right? They have multiple. I mean, like that's why a lot of women, they have multiple shoes of, hey, this exact same shoe with a different bow on it.
Right.
Right? So they have like 300 pairs of shoes
Oh yeah.
and dresses and clothes. Like they have like
Oh yeah.
thousands of them. I mean, to me,
I,
it's not practical. But like I say,
yeah.
from
Because
my perspective, it's not what I want. But from their perspective, I can't tell them not to be a beaver, not to
yeah,
be, doing
I
their
agree.
own thing. So for the most part, my self management, if it's my personal stuff, I like to kind of keep it, you know, if I think it has value, then I keep it. If it doesn't have value, I toss it. I don't like to keep it. If I buy one thing, like let's say I buy a new thing, like a new pair of shoes, then the old one's gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping the old one. Or what I do is I will wear the old one till it like completely breaks before I buy a new one. That's how I do it. So for most of my life, I don't buy anything for me, but I still have a lot of stuff. Not because I buy them, it's just because other people buy them for me. I have like 3 pairs of slippers just because my wife buys them for me, and then I have like a bunch of shirts because my sister buys them, my mom buys them. It's like I have so much stuff that I for me it's like I don't buy because I already have one. So a lot of times say, why you keep wearing? Say, I'm gonna wear this shirt right until like it's gonna rip
Oh
before I
yeah.
buy a new one. But the thing is, they keep telling me why am I wearing the same old clothes, whatever the case may be. And to me, that's the differences in terms of our mental mindset. And for me, in order for me to be functioning, like to be logical, I have to have a more unorganized desk. I like to have things in these buckets. For the stuff that is important to me, if you ask me where it is, I know exactly where it is. Because if I go to it and it's not
Right.
there,
That's
that means that somebody else moved it. Whatever I have, it's at the same spot all the time. Like if my keys, for example, is in the same spot all the time, I don't even think about it.
right.
Man, if I were to be sleepwalking, my keys will be in the same place. If I use it, I go back to the same place. It doesn't move. If it's not from there, it's not there from that place. It means that somebody else moved it. So for me, I have to
Right.
have this foundations of I know where things are before I can add new things to it. So that's how my mind works. But a lot of people, their mind works differently. So like, as far as personal management, I like to be organized. So a lot of time the space that I work in, right? Every day I clean. I clean every day.
Right.
And I
Yep.
like to have so it's not a big space like my workstations, like my computers, a lot of I have a lot of dust because all the fans is spinning and every day. I clean it before I do any work. That's my thing is I like to have it now because when I have that environment, my internal mindset is also organized. If I don't have it organized, this is also very important in terms of human psychology that I found that if your mind is organized and you have things, it is completely tidy up in terms of no loose ends, then your mind actually works more efficiently. Just because let's say you have something and you procrastinate, right? And then that procrastination actually has you still have some kind of a memory that holds on to that, hey, I still have to do this. You are being handicapped by the capacity, right? So the more things you haven't done that weighs on you, those part of your brain is actually have to hold on to that little piece of information like a linked list, right? It just
Yeah.
holds on to like a string. So that part of your brain is not being used to do the other stuff, like your thinking and your analysis. So you're handicapping your capacity, your mental capacity, if you're not having things organized and wrap up loose ends. So a lot of times you get like, for example, for you, I noticed you that when you cross something out, right, it makes you feel good because you actually let go of that piece of the brain
Yeah.
cells that's hold on to thing. It's being freed up the resources and it feels good just because that's the way that you operate. And I, for whatever reason, has to be organized like that. My wife doesn't have to. I mean, my wife is like, hey, she has everything all over the place, and she can function just fine. I don't know, and I think your wife different too.
Maybe that's what we think, right? Like that's what I would say the same thing about my wife. I'm like, I guess she can function just fine with this, but like I never really asked her, like, how does this make you feel, like seeing stuff everywhere? You don't have any idea what this is. Like I can't even tell you how disgusting our closet. We have a big walk-in closet, and I don't have anything in there, and it's stacked on stacked of shit, like shoe boxes everywhere, shoe holder things.
Yes.
But she ran out of room, and there's like little shoe holder things built into our closet, racks and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you have those, but why do you have fucking shoe boxes in front of those? There's shoes behind. She's never even. It had to have been 5 years. She's never even seen those shoes. I mean, who the hell even knows what's in those racks anymore?
Bought things from the store and goes directly into a closet. I have never seen her wear it. It's all perspectives, because you look at your things. Well, if you say, hey, clean up. Let's say somebody said to clean up your shit, and say, what am I cleaning? It's organized. I know exactly what things are. From their perspective, it's a mess. For your perspective, it's clean. So when you look at, let's say you go to the bathroom, my wife has so many brushes. I don't know why she has so many brushes, hair brushes, right? You don't need one, but she has so many of this and that. It's all over the sink. Hair blow, hair dryer, the curling iron. It's for them. For them, you ask them to clean up the space, and well, what's there to clean?
You're giving me
heebie-jeebies.
The heebie-jeebies, like now, because all I'm thinking about is my own bathroom right now, and I'm like, my side of the sink. I couldn't deal with this.
Is eventually, if you have girls, if you don't master the art of don't run for trains, you're gonna be in trouble. I am giving you fair warning.
Right.
Master the art of for trains. Only way for you to get through it. Because you can't change it, because you can't go say, I begged you. I have wires here, have wires there, you have, this little, whatever, right? It's there because it has a purpose. Like you were saying before, your shit has a purpose, right? I do mobile development, so I have tablets, Android tablet, iOS phone, Android phone, a bunch of connectors, a bunch of computers. I have 4 computers, right? I have two like gaming rig computer. I have one, ultimate like laptop that can be a gaming computer. I have another backup, and then I have a bunch of monitors and a bunch of gadgets all over the place. But it has its purpose. The reason why it's there is because I'm using it, right? But if you have somebody else that is not a tech person or a nerd person or whatever you want to call me, they come to me and say, hey, why do you have like 4 computers? It's redundant. And so it's the same question. Go ask my wife, well, you have 4 dresses. So that's the thing is, for me, I don't know if that's the way they were born with, or that's the clutter gene that they have, whatever. But it's still, to me, if that's their beaver, let them be. Just, hey, this space is mine, right? And if you put stuff on here, I'm going to move it. My kids, they come to my workspace, they play, and they would put like stuff over. Every day I clean them. Every morning I would clean my space.
Right.
Before I will work, I will take them away. I will put them back to the room, whatever. But it doesn't sit in my space. It does not. Only way for me to maintain my sanity.
I cannot think about their space. Like if I try to think about their space, like that's when I get I like talk about don't run for trains, like you said. Like that's how I don't run for trains in my own home. Is I'm like, well, literally I see it and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go the other way. Like, I'm like, I'm not going in the closet, not doing it. Like, because if I go in there, I'm just gonna go, oh my God, like, it'll like the anxiety levels just ratchet up, and it's like, what I mean, I can't change it. You make a good point.
I have tried, and
I've tried.
So I have learned the art of don't run for trains. I say, well, if you like my space, well, do what I do.
Agreed. Well, actually, I don't want to ruin some of my findings from my experiment, but one of those things, right? So I literally wrote this after I read this book. I don't think I wrote the second part of this for like another month, because I went the whole month before I had any results. So I don't actually know when the next
one is black.
Oh yeah, no, we got like, here, look at that. We got.
So you're gonna have a while.
Yeah, we got 217 is when I did the when I finished that from 196 to 217. So that was when I officially did my recap of finished my month of year magical, or I mean my monthly challenge before I. So we got a while to go before we get back to it. But one of the funniest things that ended up happening with this whole experiment was I made it a point to never clean up somebody else's stuff, like my wife's or my kids. I guess that's one thing, but like my dog, but her stuff in particular, I did not touch it. It was only either community stuff or my stuff that I was like, that is all that I'm going to focus on cleaning. So the funny thing is, as I started doing this every single day, and I did it every single day for the entire month, people started to get curious. Lucas started to help me organize stuff. Felicia started to get a little curious. Eventually, she ended up helping me to clean out the attic, and the attic is now clean.
It can fill it up again. It's
oh, it already is.
That's what I'm saying. She participate, but because she's not a she's a beaver, right? If she's a beaver and she's doing the beavering thing, and you ask her to do some foxy thing, she can probably participate. But it isn't going to continue. It's going back to the beaver thing again. That's why I'm saying beaver must dance. So let them be what they want to be. And so to me, like I say, whatever room you have, you can clean all day long, right? It's going to get filled with something new. It's like you eating junk food just because we eat some food or we buy some stuff, right? My wife bought so many things that it has no use in my mind. Has no use, things like one time she bought flowers, right? She bought a bunch of flowers all at once. So there's 5 different kind of flowers, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna die. But the point is, whenever she have some kind of she's gonna get in a mood of buying stuff. She go buy them. She go buys like, jewelry, and then she go buys like decorations, and she go buy like furniture. Like we have our own. We call the kick, right? It means like my wife sometimes like seeing on the spree of buying furniture. She goes to buy a bunch of furniture, and then she goes on. She buys a bunch of like so. There's a phases that she goes through. But like I said, things can get filled up if there's room for whatever reason. If she sees them empty, it triggers her to go buy.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you clean up yours, right? If you clean up yours, it's fine because whatever you buy, she's not interested.
Right.
Okay. But whatever she is into, right? If something is gone off of the counter or whatever that used to be there, right? She see like something's missing, so you go find something to put on it.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right.
No, I agree.
So for whatever.
Oh, trust me, the cabinets that I cleaned out and the attic that's cleaned out and drawers and stuff, they were all cleaned out. Like, by the way, I had a fucking blast doing this. Like, it ended up being like a really, really fun challenge. I would encourage anybody to do this, but I'm gonna say my results. I'm not gonna tell anybody. My last thought on this one, you said something earlier that triggered a thought for me that I wanted to go back to. Like you said, I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was something along the lines of, like, when you know where something is, you can free your mind up for other things, and that anxiety feeling of when you don't know where something is.
Certainty. When you have an uncertainty, it creates this anxiety feeling, right? Uncertainty has a lot to do with like, hey, I have to do something and I didn't do it yet. It holds onto it, and that thing constantly is pulling at you and give you anxiety, give you anxiousness. Same thing with the unknown. Say, hey, I don't know where my keys are. I don't know if I locked the door. I don't know. So those things create anxiety in your head because whatever that particular part of your brain that holds on to that thing, it is inaccessible for everything else. Your brain has less capacity to do critical thinking and other things that you do. Second, they hold on to that piece of information of an uncertainty creates anxiety, and anxiety creates a spiral down effect. This is what I'm saying is when it's spiral down effect. When you have anxiety, for example, you're going to eat bad food. When you eat bad food, you can't sleep. When you can't sleep, you have even more anxiety.
Oh yeah.
And then that continues.
So, I think one of the reasons why writing has been so impactful for me in my life is I've always just had a new idea that pops in and I spit it out and we keep going around and around. Well, this is how my brain's always been all the time, right? So whenever I would get things in my head, if I didn't get it out of my head, it would just be in my head all the time, and I wouldn't want to forget it. It's like fucking freedom, honestly.
Taking the boulder that you've been carrying on your shoulder and put it down. That's
how I mean, it's the most freeing feeling ever for me personally, because like I don't remember half of these reflections that I wrote. Like I was just writing about this morning. It's like Amelia and I, when we're writing in the mornings, I go into like this trance, and all of a sudden I come out of it and there's a reflection done. I don't know if it's good or not. I don't really care, but the thoughts out of my head, it's solidified. We worked together to put something, out of our mind and turn it into something that was a formulated thought that we could share with ourselves and other people as well. I guess not necessarily as the goal, but just for ourselves. It's like Dumbledore, when he would like pull out his thought and put it in his, what I'm talking about with Dumbledore and Hogwarts, like when he would put his thought into his little bowl or whatever, to store it for later. It just is like, it just frees up your mind to go do all the other shit that you have to do or worry about or care about or value or we don't value.
If you ask them to do anything, how can they focus?
They can't. Well, you can,
Exactly.
but
My point is,
you could grit through
no,
it or just run yourself into the hole.
because the thing is, like I say, depending on like in my job particularly, right? I can do any programming without focus. 'Cause when I do a programming, I mean that the only thing is in my mind at that moment for the next hour or 2 hours.
Right.
The only thing that is in my head is whatever I'm doing. Everything else, right? Like whatever else that I worry it has to disappear. Otherwise, it cannot finish the work, right? So, like I said, you cannot focus if you have things that say, hey, I have to do this, I have to do that, right? The concept of having things in your mind. Let's say I have a bunch of things in mind. If I have things in my mind, I probably can focus for like 2 hours. And then if I have more things, it's 1 hour. And then more things, it's only 15 minutes. That means that whatever you're doing, it's 15 minutes. And then you get distracted by something else again. Because that thing is keep tugging at you say, hey, don't forget, you have this thing. And so you can't focus. It's going to give you 15 minutes. So what you do, a lot of times you're going to have very shitty observations and critical thinking because 15 minutes. And then after you get distracted, right? You unload because it unloads a bunch of things that you already loaded. It loads back the little nagging memories. That, hey, don't forget this. Oh, I have to pay taxes. I have to do this. I have to do that, right? And then you load that new things in. You unload the thing you just focus on, and then you go back to next thing. You spend another fucking 10 minutes trying to load the same thing you actually load into to do the work. So you probably will do 5 minutes of work, if any, right?
Yeah,
and
no,
so
I agree. Yeah.
And that's the thing is, for my experience, is in my line of work, I can't focus if there are a bunch of things. That's for me. If I'm not organized, then I can't do any work. But if I'm focused, right, I can do that for 8 hours. And I can finish the whole project 1/10 the time of somebody who's very distracted. And so that's why a lot of times is for me, like meetings is not good if you put it in the middle of the day, right? Either in the beginning of the day or end of the day. Like you meet in the beginning of the day, I understand what I need to do, then I do it, and I need to focus. But and a lot of times meeting in the beginning of the day is actually better for me than the end of the day because I don't need to be like,
Well, you're not
what do I
tired.
what do I need? Thing is, let's say I have a meeting on the end of the day, right? So during the day, I'm holding on to I have this meeting.
I got to
and
get
it's
this done
still
before this meeting.
Yeah, so it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't completely crossed off, so you can't cross off. But you have a meeting today, right? Whether or not you prepare for the meeting or not, you still going to say, "Well, I have a meeting." So that piece of information gets sticks, and one of your brain cells is holding on to it. So that means that particular brain cell is inaccessible for you to focus on the things that you focused on before that meeting. So meeting at the end of the day is actually bad, right? For me, it's meeting for the day. When I finish the meeting, it's crossed off. That means I don't have to think about it until I'm done with this thing. And maybe the meeting is in the next day, whatever, I can do it afterward. But if the meeting is at the end of the day, right, even though I don't have to do anything for the meeting, I say, well, I still have to remember I need to attend the meeting. I wonder who's going to say with the meeting, what's going to come out of the meeting, whatever things comes up. And it completely holds part of your brains back because it's used to hold that memory. And so whatever you do during the day to focus on, that piece, a portion of your mental capacity is being locked up and you can't use it, so that you become less efficient than you would have been if you have done the things that doesn't make your brain hold on to the memory, right? So for me, it's like you think about how a lot of the little things, if you have little things that you don't wrap it up, then it becomes a burden. Regardless how big or small it becomes, like, I gotta pay taxes. Oh, I gotta send this to the post office. Tiny thing like that is still going to affect your productivity just because your brain, if for some reason it holds on to it, unless you write it down onto something and you put it onto, and basically your brain say, hey, I have something here. I don't have to worry about it. And for whatever reason, that trick worked. Your brain say, hey, I have it stored over here. That means I don't need to remember it. So your brain allows you to let go of that piece.
All you need to remember is how to go find it. Like, oh, I know it's here, so I'll go look.
And I have 10 cells holding 10 different memory. You have one memory holding, say, where are the things I have to do. So you free up the other 9 cells to do the thing you need to do. So for me, that's my philosophy on.
Yeah, you want a free mind. I mean, like you want your stuff where you know your stuff is, so you can free up your mind to go do.
And the thing is, when you are thinking and you have anxiety, then you associate a negative anxiety feeling with thinking, imagination. Because when you are completely organized, you like to think.
Yeah, I mean,
In today's
100%.
society, I kind of like notice a lot of people don't like to think. They only like to do things because
yeah,
they
they look.
yeah, because the thing is like thinking has created this negative associations of a negative feeling, right? Because a lot of people have anxiety. They have to pay bills. They have to say, "Hey, my boss doesn't like, doesn't like me, or this person doesn't like me," blah blah. So they have all these anxieties. The uncertainty creates anxiety, and they have all these things. And then when you trigger something to think, right, you're in your head, right? That means that whatever's in your head, you're gonna have to deal with it. And
Right.
those anxiety is in your head, you're gonna have to be able to handle it. If you don't handle it, then that's why people don't like to think, because whenever they think, it evokes, it triggers this emotional negative feelings, and it shies them away from thinking. So you ask people to read books or whatever, they start reading books and think about it. Well, other stuff, bad memory comes flooding into their head, and they say, I don't know, this is not
Right.
fun. And so to
Agreed.
me, is a lot of people are averse to thinking, averse to do critical. So they like to have a movie, right? A movie would actually tell them how to. You don't have to imagine; you just have to go and look at it, right? A perfect example would be the meditation. When you meditate, right? There's a lot of stuff you think of because you're trying to calm your mind, right? And your mind's gonna fly because you're tuning into your mind. So thinking, that's the same thing. But when you watch a movie, for example, right? You don't have to think. When you watch a video, when you watch something social media, you don't have to think. That doesn't trigger the negative emotional feelings because you're being given the image versus having to come up with the image and processing in your head. Because when you're processing in your head, the stuff nearby it's going to pop up, and you got to know how to do it. So that's why I think the most important aspect of, you want to be a thinker, you want to be a critical person, you want to be a considerate person. Like, you have to think, right? And to be a thinker, you have to like thinking. So in order to like thinking, you have to evoke a positive emotions instead of negative emotions. So if you prepare your brain to think, then the positive emotion will overwhelm any negative emotion. Therefore, you're gonna practice and condition your brain to like thinking. So it's like training an elephant. So this is what I found through my number of years of trying to figure out what are the subconscious doing, what are my brains trying to say, and blah blah. So in a nutshell, that's in my philosophy of mindset, mental capacity, stuff management, and clutterness. I don't think it's about clutterness in a way, but clutterness reflects what you are inside.
Storage. It's about storage and freedom. Open space.
It's about unburdening, right?
Stuff is a burden if you don't. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, that's what this book's about, is like stuff is a burden.
Because you think about it. Let's say you go and you don't have a job, right? You go and apply for a job, right? You have an interview, right? And then you waiting for them to make a decision to call you and say yes or no, right? You have more anxiety because of the uncertainty than to have a yes or no. Even if they tell you a no, it's a relief for you.
Right.
Even if the worst case scenario is, hey, you're not the right candidate, it's still a better state of mind.
We should know.
The uncertainty is what causes anxiety. If you can make something certain, or you can store it off your mind somewhere on a piece of paper, on a computer, whatever, as long as you know where it is.
That'd be funny.
So that you have more positive associations when it comes to thinking.
Yeah, no, yeah. But final thoughts, I gotta go because I gotta go to bed. But you made me think about like writing down, hey, remember to be anxious about something for a little bit, like, and writing a note, like put it a post-it on your thing. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be hilarious if you like literally wrote down your anxieties.
Train your elephant. So you think about like the rider and the elephant. You are the rider.
Right.
So any anxiety you have is your elephant not being trained properly.
No, I know. I'm saying it would be really funny to like, just to write reminders yourself to be anxious, to be like, oh God, I forgot I got to be anxious for a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you wrote down your anxieties, not to get them out of your head, but to remind yourself to be anxious about something, and you're like, oh yeah, I got to do that. All right. Well, that actually ended up being a more fun discussion than I thought it was going to be. Awesome. All right. Well, a question we can leave for everybody for tonight is what's your personal philosophy on stuff management? I think I learned something tonight. That was interesting. So thanks for coming. Any final thoughts, Drew?
I don't know. I'm overdoing it.
Yeah. We've officially been purged for the night, so now we can go.
If I say something else, you'll be here in a half hour.
We'll see you all tomorrow night.
Yep.